afternoon. We're here at Berger Water Gardens potting some lotus, and we'd like to show you a couple pots first. The first one is a 10-inch pot, standard pot with no holes, that we like to use for bowl lotus and small growing lotus. The second pot is actually a 15-inch pot. We happen to like this one because of the handles on the side. It really helps us move things around, and we can still drop it within our ceramic pots. Then lastly, we have a larger pot that we like to use. This is 18-20 inches in diameter, and we use this for a little bit larger growing lotus, but we can still move it easily. Now when we get ready to pot a lotus, we got a choice of media. We tend to use heavy topsoil. It's readily available, it's cheap, and we have to use a lot of it. But we realize many people don't have topsoil available. So there are commercially made aquatic plant medias, like this one from API. And it's a clay base, works well. I still like to mix in a little bit of dirt with it. But if you don't have soil available to you, the aquatic plant media, and there are several different companies out there, it's a fine one to use. The plants grow just fine. So the tuber we're going to use today is called Colorful Butterfly 13. This is a small growing lotus, bowl lotus. You can see it's got a couple nice growth points, a lead point there. There's a secondary point. And this guy is going to take off fine. Now we have the option of putting it into our bowl pot or into our larger 15-inch pot. And today we're going to use this larger pot. So first we're going to put some soil in. There we go, it's a little bit wet. Okay, pick out some of the debris. Now we're going to add a little bit of water. Kind of get it into a slurry, if you will. It helps to get out the air. And the Chinese especially like to do it this way into a wet mix. You want to be very careful with the lotus tuber. You don't want to break off those growth tips because you risk losing the tuber at that point. But you can see we've got a nice muddy mix going here right now. And so next we're going to look for, we're going to mix it up a little bit more there. Okay. So now we're going to grab our lotus tuber. And as you can see, this would be the growing end to the front and then the back. So we're going to place the cut end up against the end of the pond, or the pot, the edge of the pot, and point it towards the center growing or around the perimeter, however it feels like it wants to grow. We're going to put a little bit of mud on there. Just kind of ooze it up a little bit and just let it settle in. Now some folks will take a slightly different approach and set it right on top of the mud and put like a heavy rock on top of it to weight it down. But if you notice, the growth points are just emerging from the mud. And we're pretty much ready to go. It's that simple. So we're going to add some more water. And when you first start out, it's good to only have about an inch or two of water above the actual plant itself. Keep it rather shallow. We could add a little bit more dirt to this pot initially, but we tend to have more water because we grow our plants here on the soil. They're not in ponds, so we want to have enough water there because of evaporation. So it makes it a little bit easier for us. There's the growing tip right there, and that's going to be really good. Okay. And so you want to keep it in a warm, sunny location. Ideally, the water, the daytime temperature should be above 70 degrees. And full sunshine is best, although they can get by with about 8 hours of sunshine. And let it take off. Once you'll get some floating leaves on the surface, those are the water leaves, and then eventually you'll get an aerial leaf. And once you have an aerial leaf where the leaf comes up and out of the water, that's when we start fertilizing. And here at Berger Water Gardens, we use pondtabbs Plus actually, the one with the humates in it. And it's a well-balanced mix. You're going to find that the plants will do extremely well. In this size pot, we'll use 2 tablets about every 2 weeks once we get into the growing season, and we're going to stop about Labor Day or so here in the Northeast. So it's very simple. You just push it into the mud when we're ready, just like what Lily's doing there. And we would normally put 2 in, but we'll put it in for right now. There we go. And so our pot of lotus is ready to go. And perhaps the most important thing is to go ahead and put a label on it of some type so you know what plant it is. So later on, if you want to share it with somebody, or if you lose it, you want to replace it, you know which variety it is.
Okay, take it over.